Well, Mom, this is Chris. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but I'm going to walk around and see all the garden beds we put in last couple years, and I'm just going to walk around gradually. You can see the backyard we have that's all fenced in to keep the deer out. And it's about 150 feet in total of garden beds we put in. We also put in this back patio straight in front that has a stone raised, and then we have a very small patio with a couple chairs in the back corner, but I'll walk by those. Anyway, some of these names, I've lost track of the names actually. This first shrub is really healthy and smart and evergreen, but I don't forget, I forget the name. This next one is called Texan Dogwood. It's already flowered and it's very, very robust. We have three or four of these variegated shrubs. That's all I can call them, I guess. They do evergreen. We try to do lots of evergreen, and they get bigger and bigger. They'll get maybe 3 or 4 feet wide, and there's 4 of them. We've also got what's called southern ferns. You can see they're kind of feathery ferns. We have some different ferns around the corner, but we have a handful of those. You can see 3 of those. These are called waxwing. They're not native to the U.S. They're Chinese, but they're here a lot. They're also evergreen, and they'll get about 8 feet tall. This is in their second year. This is a cherry laurel. Cherry laurels is more of a tree. It gets up to maybe 25 feet high eventually. This is its second year, and we hope that's going to be healthy. We have another one across the way I'll walk by on the other side of the garden. We do have these red plants that have come up nicely called Coreopsis. See if I can get a good shot of one up close. These Coreopsis, they're from bulbs, and they do really well in shade, and we have a lot of shade back here. And this is some more waxwing. These are 2 evergreen shrubs. The one on the left, I had to trim back a lot because of some disease it got, but it seems to be okay now, and there's a second one. This is the area in the back where we can sit in the shade. It's only, it's only mid-May, but we think over the course of the summer this will be pretty to sit in the shade here. Over the winter I put in these 2 holly plants for greenery right here. They're pretty big. They were only about 6 months old here, and they'll get pretty big and fill in. Of course, they're evergreen. The next couple plants are Nandinas. That's also a Chinese plant that people do a lot around here. I just transplanted these pair of these from Lisa's garden bed, where she's going to put in roses. We'll see if they make it. They're only here for about a week or 2, and I'm doing a lot of watering to them, but transplants are always tricky. This is a sage plant. It grows up pretty tall and has spiky indigo. It's called indigo sage, and this will come out in clusters over the course, but it's a really good hot weather plant. These are one of five honeysuckle plants we have. You can see them. These are also evergreen down here and real pretty, and I'll show you some other ones. I have put in a small number of vegetables. These are you can see these are tomato plants, small ones. There's 6 of these. This is some purple sage that we just put in not that long ago. I think some animals are getting to it, or some critters, so I'm going to have to spray it. And this is thyme. Both of these are in pots. One thing I didn't show you, see this cord or this pipe running along is a 1/2-inch pipe with things coming off it. I did put in some time ago drip irrigation through the whole garden, so when we get in the heat of the summer it's going to hold up pretty well without me having to think much about watering. This is a Lady Banks rose, and it's only its second year. It's doing well and it's healthy, but it hasn't really bloomed much yet, and I think that'll take another year to get established before that happens. When it does bloom, it has a long season of small yellow roses. These are various hot peppers, cayennes and others, and then we have some pretty good sized peppers going. Most of them will know when they're ripe when they get red. This I've lost track of the name, but it sends out beautiful blue shoots and flowers. It's a perennial bush. This is a sage plant, real common down here. Once it's fully mature, it's kind of gray. It's also got some folklore about it, is that it blossoms right before rain. I don't know if that's true or not, but these are also evergreen and replace the leaves in place in the springtime. These aren't flowering yet, but they're called yellow bells. These pale green tall ones. They get pretty tall, 6, 7 feet tall. and they have beautiful fluted yellow flowers that hummingbirds love. I have a couple. I shoved a couple rose plants here, small yellow roses here, and some bigger yellow roses here. Both of those were elsewhere, and we didn't have anything to do with them, so I put them back here to see how they do. I don't know if they do that well, but if we lose them, it's no big deal. These are yellow plants that flower quite a bit during the season. They've already flowered once and they're starting to flower again. We have a handful of them, 4 of them, I guess. This is just a border plant. I forgot the name of it. Sometimes I remember it. It sends up little pink shoots of flowers. This is the second year, and they'll get dense, or they'll get bigger. This is another honeysuckle you can see that climbs up the wall. And both these honeysuckle, the one back there and the one here, we've had for a couple years, so they're pretty big. This next set of plants, if they flower, are crimson. I forgot the name of them now, but they get to be 5 or 6 feet tall by July, August, and they're very beautiful plants even if they don't flower. Another honeysuckle. This is just planted a couple months ago, so it's just starting to go. This is another honeysuckle we planted just a couple months ago. Again, honeysuckle, because they're evergreen here, are nice to have in the garden for green year round. Vicky bought a couple of these. I lost track of their name. They have beautiful fluted purple flowers. Right now they've gone by and now it's kind of organizing itself. We don't know how well they will do. This plant here is called a Copper Canyon daisy. Copper Canyon. No, it's not a Copper Canyon daisy. It's Copper Canyon something, and it turns out to be yellow flowers in a month or two. There's some more vegetables that I planted, which are very young, and I've lost the name. I'm getting old, I guess. These are used in Asian cooking. Coriander, it's called in China. This next bed we've planted some plants as well that I can't remember at the moment, but they'll come up and they're edible. This Indian hawthorn, one of my favorite plants. We have 3 of these now. The one we did in the pot didn't went so well. We got a couple more. These are a couple other perennial plants that are just starting up. We have a lot of these plants called Mexican petunias. Oh, by the way, this plant I went by is obvious. It's basil. I just couldn't remember the name. Senior moment. A lot of this is called Mexican petunia. It does really well in the summer. It's used to the heat. It's invasive. It shoots out all over, which we kind of love because it's taking over quite a few areas. This is another hawthorn cherry, like we had across the way. This will get very tall, but this is only a year in. Another Indian hawthorn. More Mexican petunias. This is called the mountain laurel. It's native to this area. It does really well in dry climates. It's only its second year. It grows slowly. It has beautiful purple flowers in the spring. This I've lost track of. We have 3 or 4 of these. They will flower in the next month or so. They come out beautiful flowers, and they just get bigger. They don't get particularly taller. We have several of these ferns, which are pretty famous down here for being tough as nails, and they winter over, so they're evergreen. This one I just put in about a month ago. It's doing real well, but we have a handful of others. This is called Mexican oregano, which is like real oregano. You can use it like oregano, and it gets to be pretty big. It's also evergreen plant. This is rosemary, big plant in the pot. I've also got some mint in the back sprouting up there. This is more of that Nandina that we transplanted from Lisa's house, and it's doing okay during the early transplant days. We'll see if we can keep it alive when it gets hotter. Indian hawthorn, again, that's the 3rd one. This is the biggest Nandina transplant we did, and it's so far going pretty well. I trimmed them back a lot when I transplanted them. I might have to trim them back some more. This is gardenia. It's also a special kind called frostproof, so it should do well when the winter comes. We had one there before, and it just died back in the winter. It didn't do well. So this is supposed to survive that. There's lots of buds on it. It's been in the ground a couple months. Needs a lot of water initially. These are famous down here. They grow wild too. They're called Turk's Cap. They're a kind of hibiscus I heard the other day, but they're native and they do real well in the heat. and they throw off big red Turk. They look like a Turk's cap, all red in the summer later on. This is a kind of sage which is crimson, has crimson flowers. Some years it flowers, sometimes it doesn't. I have quite a few of these, and they also spread out pretty good. This is a dwarf Nandina. It's like this Nandina is a full-size one, I think. I don't know because it came from Lisa's. These are dwarf ones. They'll always stay small. And so Nandina. This is the scarlet sage again. You can see these are pretty healthy plants. We have trouble with flowering stuff because the backyards are shaded. It's great for us, but it's not. Some of the plants don't like it so much. This is one of two plants we transplanted from Lisa's, and they're crepe myrtles. And they're small now, but we're going to have to move them, I think, over the winter to a place where they can better achieve their height. This is Turk's cap again. There's a big plant I took over from Lisa. They put in a pool and had to pull out a bunch of plants, and I took a bunch of them. This is crepe myrtle and crepe myrtle. And this is Nandina. Last thing we have is a bunch of this ivy growing from the neighbor's garden up the wall. You can see there's really two types. This small green flower I'm not sure about. This is English ivy. You can see climbing up the wall here and here. And we've also started training ivy up some of our trees. You can see this one's the highest. And there's other ones here, so that we think that'll be pretty beautiful. What we put in outside up the porch, you can see the porch here, which I'm about to redo a bit. But we put in a stone walkway, which is beautiful, and it goes out to a patio where we can sit when it's nice out. There's a grill here. There's an outdoor, just a utility table, and some nice plants here. And I don't, other than, I think these are begonias. Other than that, I don't know these other ones. They're Vicky's plants she put out. And we have this outdoor furniture we can leave out in the rain. We also have put some plants on our porch. You can see begonias, and I think the others are hibiscus. That'll have to come in the winter, and I'm not sure about that one. We also have, we hang ferns up. These are hanging ferns. So that's about it for the whole garden. I would say the trees here are all mostly called, the ones I know are called cedar elms. They're elms. You can see they get to be pretty big. We have one in the corner of the property that's probably 40 feet tall. They're very resilient, and they're famous also for their small, sharp leaves. They're not like a regular elm tree, but they're resistant to the normal elm disease so far. So we have a lot of those. I have trimmed it up quite a bit. There were a lot of trimmings hitting me in the eyes when I'd mow. Last thing I'll show you, and this is how we did the yard. When I first got the yard, we had this. We had trouble growing grass because it's so shaded. But we had this amazing young little ground cover. You can see some of it. Here's a picture of some. There's small yellow flowers as it gets a little taller. It's called straggler daisy or horseherb, and it's very resilient. And when I kept looking at it, how thrived it was, how much it thrived, I decided I'd downplay the grass in favor of this, and it's worked out pretty well. This is a really good plant. It kind of takes over. It's really one of 3 or 4 native Texas ground covers, and it does really well in shade as well as heat, and it does have these small, as I said, small yellow flowers. You can see where small butterflies will come, and it's spread out pretty good. It does die back in the winter, so this winter I put out some winter rye, which will die back. It's an annual rye, and it's kept the lawn a lot greener than normal, and when I do it more thoroughly next winter, it will keep it green over the winter, because in the winter it dies back, this ground cover. Also, I'll add, I put in this walkway. You can see from the big walkway the contractors put into these stepping stones, and that goes all the way out to our little pad in the back where we can sit and have a drink and do well. I've got 2 more to sink in. The last couple I hadn't sunk in yet, but the ones I've sunk in look nice. And pretty much everything does good. And right now, because of the drip watering system, everything will be watered automatically except for the lawn. When it gets to be summertime, I'll have to water that. So that's it. Hope you like my garden, Mom. I had a lot of inspiration from how much you love plants over the years. Love ya. Bye.